It's like being in a washing machine. The cycle just keeps going round and round and round, and nothing happens. You just keep going around in circles all the time.
When you know the flood is coming every winter and it's going to be multiple times, it's constantly on your mind, so you never completely relax. You're on a constant vigil in your mind about what do I need to do to prepare for the flooding? Can we travel away? Can we go on holiday anywhere? Do we need to be here? So it's just the back of your mind all the time. You don't relax in the winter anymore.
There's more stress, there's more anxiety about it. The floors in these houses were raised about 3 foot around the millennium, all along the entire row. And they were raised to a level that the Environment Agency advised would cope with a 1 in 50 year flood. It flooded the next year. We are the most frequently flooded community in the catchment of the River Severn.
So the situation in Diglis is that we have a community of a couple of dozen residences along the River Severn. They have flooded in the past once every 7 years. That is now becoming once, if they are lucky, every other year. The damage is building up, and there is no substantial flood defence in place other than what the residences have been able to provide themselves at great expense.
Something drastically changed around 2020, and it's become every single year now, every winter it floods, and several times it's on the front. And since then it's not gone back, so it's every single year, flood, flood, flood.
The river used to come up and down on the towpath lots of times a year, particularly in the winter months. It was coming up into the garden, but not worryingly so, but it's doing that more, and it's coming in and out of the house more.
With the water levels coming up on a regular basis, it means that the houses are inundated with water underneath, within the foundations, and it just comes up the walls. You don't get rid of the damp problem. And I know people will say, well, you choose to live here, but I chose to live here when it was a 1 in 7 year flood, not when it was flooding every year.
We can't do any more ourselves. I mean, people could just walk out and abandon the houses. That's not really financially viable. There are people here living in negative equity already because property prices down here are depressed. A flood defence wall would be great. It wouldn't actually have to protect much land. It's a small triangle here. The effect downstream would be a fraction of a millimetre. The problem is getting the funding for it.
At the moment, resources are very tight at the Environment Agency. I know that when I speak to the officers on the ground from the EA, they're all very committed, but they can't magic resources up. They can only deal with what they've got. So every year, new flood funding is announced, and it offers hope to communities like this. But unfortunately, it's often funding that's been double announced. You know, it's already underway. It's a scheme that was completed 2 years ago or something like that.
And it's always the same when it floods. Everybody comes out of the woodwork, and then as soon as the water's gone down, they all go back. There's a lot of people come down here, and they all comment on how beautiful these properties are. But they need to be defended, because the damage that's being caused by the water is a real issue.
The National Flood Forum have enabled us to have a voice and to have the ability to raise the concerns on behalf of all the residents. We have multi-agency meetings that the National Flood Forum have the power to set up, and that's given us a voice, given us the ability to raise concerns, to make that single point of contact with the council, to make things easier down here in times of flooding.
Climate change is definitely here, and they need to do something about it. Otherwise, it's just going to continue, and everybody's going to suffer.
The amount of stuff that needs to be done to help and protect people is just large and getting larger. I see all sorts of announcements coming out, but I don't see it really that often in practice and action.
Eventually, you will end up in positions where you have towns where nobody can sell their properties, but they can't afford to live in them either. These towns tend to be quite old, conservation areas and listed buildings, so you can't demolish them, you have to keep them there. So we're going to end up with ghost towns that are flooding, unsafe to live in. They are flooding too much to do anything with. You have communities trapped in these areas, and so we need to be careful to avoid, you know, some of these very pleasant communities across the country, which we all like to drive through, becoming shells with no one living there because no one can afford the insurance. But equally, no one else can move in because they can't be sold.
They will become slums because people won't be able to live in them.